Yo, what's up, YouTube? What it do? So I want to talk about what it takes to become a plumber. And I think a lot of you would be really surprised that in order to just be a plumber, you really don't have to have a lot. You don't need to know a lot. You don't need to be good at a lot of things. You don't need to have a college degree. You know, you don't need to do a ton of schooling either. It's much easier than most people think. And aside from plumbing, this goes for electrical, HVAC, masonry, you know, any of the major trades that you think about. So you think about a plumber, it's like, all right, what kind of skills do you need to become a plumber? Or even, I wouldn't even say become a plumber, because a lot of these skills you might acquire during that time that you're, like, let's say, if you don't think you have any skills, right? You know, in terms of like using tools or like creativity, things like that. You might not realize that you have these skills until you're put in a situation where you really need to use them. Plus, after being on the job site and doing this kind of work for a while, you'll start to acquire some of these skills and the certain mindsets that it takes to become a good plumber. So, the other way I want to look at it too is there's different levels of being a plumber, right? Obviously, you got new construction, you've got service, but you've got a good average plumber, and you have like an overachieving plumber, and obviously you have a plumber that shouldn't be a plumber at all, even if they are skilled. Some people just don't belong in this kind of work. So to talk about, if you just want to be a regular average plumber, there's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with average. That describes most plumbers when you think about it, right? You're not the one, you're not trying to go above and beyond. You're not trying to start a business. You just want to show up to the job site, do what you need to do, go home and chill the rest of the day, right? Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. There's a lot more people like that than on the other side of the coin. So what does it take? Well, to be a regular plumber, good skills to have are creativity, people skills, which are like, you know, talking with individuals, being able to network a little bit, or at least, you know, being able to communicate with somebody. And also, you got to have some sort of, it's almost like, I don't want to call it tool skills, because it's not really, to me, it's not the right way to frame it. But some people, you're just naturally good at using tools. I know it might sound kind of weird, but like for me, I know I kind of have that. I don't know if you want to call it a gift or not, but I know from a young age, like, it was very easy for me to pick up and learn how to use certain tools. Like, my dad put a wrench in my hand, and I figured out rather quickly how to use it. Now, I think some people are innately just kind of born with that. Like, you're just going to pick up on things like that naturally. But also other people, you know, after doing it, you might not have those skills or might not think you have it. But after using it enough times or practicing with it, you're just naturally going to get better at it, right? So the people skills, having tool skills, being creative, and also being able to work under a little bit of stress. And most of these things that I described are going to be for service plumbers, which are, you got to constantly go into people's homes, you know, fix things or maybe make some new additions. That creativity and that being able to deal with stress is going to go a long way. If you're in new construction, honestly, really the only thing that you need to have is to be able to read a tape measure and to use some tools. If you can read a tape measure, man, you're going to be better than 90% of the people in this field, and that's facts. All right. Now, if you want to be an overachieving plumber, like you plan on having your own business and having people working under you, you're going to need these same skills, but they need to be turned up a notch. You need to be extremely creative, okay? And to say, especially in stressful situations. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a job and things go south, or, you know, you're looking at something, you're like, all right, I should be able to do it this way. Well, that initial way that you thought of doesn't always work. So you have to be creative and on the fly. Like, you got to be able to come up with some shit very quickly, but it has to be the right way too. You know, anybody can come up with some MacGyvering kind of stuff and make it work, but is it right? And that's the differentiating part of that, right? So you got to be highly creative. you also need to have you need to be good with talking to people. Unlike me, you see me, I'm over here, blah, 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 blah. You need to be really good at talking with people and being able to thoroughly explain things properly to people in a way that they understand it. I'm very open with y'all, you know, and I kind of let y'all know about what I do. This is definitely something I constantly have to work on, and I'm still working on improving on that, because I myself, I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm kind of a people person, but I'm also like introverted in a way. It's not that I don't care about people, but it's like I would be okay if I didn't have to talk to people on a regular basis. But for the type of work that I do and for my job, I have to know how to talk to people. I have to know how to, I don't want to say how to sell them on a job, but it's more so like understanding your customer's needs. And that's where those skills really come into play, because not everybody needs the same thing. You have to be able to understand and dissect everybody's situation and be able to talk to them in a manner that they understand what you're providing them with. If you can't do that, you're going to have a very hard time selling jobs, which is then going to in turn make it very hard for you to sell money, or sorry, make money. And this goes for you guys, even if you're not looking to open a business, but if you're on that side of plumbing where you're making, oh man, what do they call it? I can't think of it. Like, you're not an hourly employee. Man, my mind is drawing a blank right now. You're not hourly, you're not salary, commission. If you're commission, your money is based strictly off of your sales, right? So depending on how you sell a job, how much money you make, you know, or depending on how you sell jobs and depending on how much money you make the company is how much money goes in your pocket. I am not for shady sales. I'm not for the sales tactics or any of that crap. I'm for understanding what your customers' needs are and providing them a service that they want and that they need. Not going above that, not selling them crap they don't need. Please don't be one of those plumbers. You can do perfectly fine without selling people crap that they don't need. All right, now back to it though. The other things that you are going to need, aside from that, you definitely need the tool skills. And if you're going to run a business, you don't have to be the most handy. You just have to kind of have an understanding of how certain things work. You also need a high tolerance for stress. Now, a lot of people think about stress in a bad way, right? Me personally, stress kind of motivates me. If I got a job that's very difficult, it's kind of stressing me out, I know in the back of my head, like, once I figure it out and once I get through this job and once I fix this problem, it's almost like winning a trophy. You know what I mean? If you've ever played a sport or done something like an event and you've ever won anything, and you know that feeling when you come in first place and you won it, you did it, all that hard work paid off, right? You see everything come together. It makes it all worth it. And if you're one of those people, like, if you tell yourself that it's good stress instead of thinking about stress as being a bad thing, it'll work out much better for you. Because I learned that about myself personally. I used to think stress was bad, and I used to get stressed out, and I would sit there and I would think about stuff constantly, and it's like, it doesn't need to be a bad thing. I feel like I'm getting stuff done. If I'm a little stressed out, it allows me to really tap into that creativity port and to really figure things out. And then that feeling that you get when you get it done and you get it accomplished, absolutely amazing. So take note of that, please. So you need to be able to handle stress. You need to be extremely creative. I do not say that lightly. You got to have those people skills. Top. We're talking top, like, you got to be really good with people. And most of these things can be learned, right? The creativity, you're either born with that or you're not. If you're not a creative person, try it. You might figure it out and you might find out for yourself, like, all right, this isn't meant for me. And that's cool. You still gonna have a skill that you can come back on, right? But one of the nice things about plumbing is, and this is any of the trades, is like when I first got into it, I knew I was creative and I knew I was good with tools, but my people skills weren't there, and being able to work in stressful situations wasn't there. But after doing this for 11 years at this point, and constantly trying to learn and constantly trying to grow, it has taken me to the next level. And it's allowed me to realize, like, okay, I do have the ability to do some of the things that I didn't think I could do. So don't be intimidated by it at all. Especially if you're just starting off. Like, let's say if you've never done a trade job or anything in construction, do not be intimidated by it at all. I will say it's not meant for everybody, but give it a try at least. You know, you might find something out about yourself that you didn't know that you had. If you want to be in new construction, you don't really need any skills. And I don't say that disrespectfully, but it's real. You're not dealing with people on a regular basis. You're not out there trying to sell jobs. You're going by a blueprint on a daily basis, and you're doing the same thing over and over again. Minimal skills, right? But also that comes with not a lot of job security either. The housing market downturns, you might not have work. If you're a service plumber, you are always 100% of the time going to have work. Unless you're just a crappy plumber and you have no idea what you're doing, or if you work for a company that has no idea what they're doing in terms of growth, advertising, those kind of things. If you want to be a good average plumber, you know, you need to know how to talk to people. You're going to learn how to sell jobs. You got to be somewhat handy. You need to be creative, and you need to be able to deal with small, stressful situations. And if you're going to go on the business route of being the owner and overseeing people, you got to have all those same skills, but turn it up a notch. Actually, turn it up a couple notches. You need to be extremely creative. You need to be able to handle stressful situations and be able to look at it like it's a good, positive thing. You need to be able to talk to people on a higher level in terms of understanding what people's needs and wants are, and not selling them stuff that they don't need. That is one of the big keys right there too. I know I touched on it earlier, obviously. But like I said, I'm not for selling stuff to people that they don't need. I literally quit working for a company, and I'm not going to name their name, because they would go out there and all their money, instead of coming from service plumbing where the margins were real small and they didn't make a lot of money, the big money came in from doing the sewer digs. So like if somebody had a bad sewer, it was full of roots, you dig it up, you replace it. Most jobs are $20,000, $30,000, and you're in and out in a day or two, right? So it's real big money and not a lot of overhead. So and these guys were paid based off of commission. So imagine selling a $20,000, $30,000 job every couple of days. You're making over $100,000 a year just off of your commission, right? That's no tips, no bonuses, none of that stuff. So these people were highly incentivized to sell sewers to clients who didn't necessarily need it. And that's where I always talk about too, giving people options. But that's not, that's for a different video. We're not going to talk about it in this one. But please do not be somebody who's going to go out here selling stuff to people that they don't need. Do not be a shady salesperson. You don't need that to be successful. That is not part of the list of things you need to be as a plumber. Shady salesman, knock it off the list. Boop. Right now. Don't be that. I do not condone that one bit. But these are the skills that you need to have, right? And like I said, you can get into this with no college education. You don't need to go into debt. These companies will pay for you to go to school. Some of the companies I've even worked for will pay for you to take business classes so you can understand sales and finding those wants and needs in customers. So do not be intimidated by it at all. Go out there, give it a try, like anything else you should be doing. What are you afraid of? You literally have nothing to lose. You're going to get a job where you have 100% job security. Plumbing is not going to be replaced by AI or robots or any of that shit. And there's not enough people getting into it. And all these older gentlemen are retiring out of this. And everybody wants to be on the computer making money or doing whatever, coding and this and that. They don't want to play with toilets and get dirty anymore. So you have a huge opportunity to get in here and really make a change in your life. And if you watch some of my other videos, I'll talk about pay scales and things like that, because plumbers actually make pretty good money. I hear it all the time, like, you can make doctor money being a plumber, and you ain't got to have that college debt. So keep in mind the skills that you need, okay? Pay attention, You will learn a lot, and don't be afraid to try it. And remember, the biggest thing too is you got to be able to deal with stress. But tell yourself it's good stress. Just think about the reward that comes with it after being through a stressful situation. And it's going to be stressful for you if you've never done anything like this to become a plumber. Do not be afraid of the stress. If you tell yourself it's good, you're like, all right, this is a little overwhelming, but I got this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get this problem solved. It might not even be a pain in the ass, but I'm going to get it done. That reward that you get after that, it's amazing. This is why I preach to y'all so much about getting into the trades. Nobody's out here talking about this, except for you will hear people like Patrick Bet-David talking about this. You hear Andrew Tate, Jay Waller. There's a lot of high-end individuals out here who condone you to get into the trades. Because people need to do this. Not everybody can get rich. I mean, everybody can, I guess, in theory, but everybody's not going to. Everybody just can't be at the top. You got to have people who are going to be out here fixing stuff, right? And to be out here and doing this stuff. And there are some skills that come with it. Are you one of those individuals that can handle it? If not, cool. You can write my code. You can flip my burgers. You can fill up my Chipotle bowl. You can be my doctor. It don't matter. But some of you, and you don't even know it, some of y'all are meant to do this. I didn't realize I was until I took my first job being a plumber. I'll tell you what, and I started off doing sewer cleaning. This is like the bottom of the totem pole. It's the nastiest shit you could get into. Within 3 days, though, I fell in love. I'm like, I like this. I'm dealing with crap. But you know what? It's actually, I'm learning a lot. The amount of stuff that I learned in those first 3 days, it's like, oh, this is something that I could really grow with. And I immediately saw the benefit of it. Nobody ever told me about plumbing or electrical. Like, it's in all of our houses. It's in all of our businesses. But yet, when's the last time somebody told you to look into a trade or possibly become a plumber? And I preach the plumbing, obviously, because I'm a plumber. But this is the one that's going to get you the most skills. Electrical, HVAC, concrete, whatever. You'll learn some stuff doing that. But you really going to learn some shit doing plumbing. All right. I think I've done enough rambling. I got to get to work. I got my people waiting on me. I'm going to go back in this apartment. We're going to knock this out. Well, like I said, think about those skills that you need. If you don't think you have any of them, don't be afraid to try it out anyways, because you'll find out a lot about yourself when you're in this field, and it's all good. And if you work it right, you're going to be able to hop on and learn some more skills, all right, and be able to grow yourself. Just keep it up here, man. Don't let the stress kill you. All right? Peace out, y'all.